showcasing the hidden gems and more. Ezzy Spotlight. Very informative and entertaining. You're listening to the most diverse podcast, Ezzy Spotlight.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Ezzy Spotlight podcast. Of course, we're here live. And of course, my guest today is none other than Mr. William Stewart. He is the ex-husband of Tiffany Haddish. Of course, she's the celebrity actress and comedian. Of course, he is here. And he's here to talk about his brand new book. The book is called Trust, Lies, and Deceit. The response to Tiffany Haddish's book. And of course, he's also saying that he has a dark side. He can tell a dark side of Tiffany Haddish with receipts. Mr. William, welcome to the Ezzy Spotlight podcast, my man. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Gotta give you a round of applause because I like the title of your book. It's called Trust, Lies, and Deceit.
Oh, yeah. That's what it was about. That's what it's, yeah.
So let's talk about this, man. You are the ex-husband of celebrity actress and comedian Tiffany Haddish. She just released a book called The Last Black Unicorn, and you have decided to write your own book in response to some of the things that were said about you in that book, Trust, Lies, and Deceit. What inspired you? What contents in her book inspired you to write your book?
Well, I mean, pretty much after, we had went through about 3 years of litigation trying to pretty much get them to stop writing those lies. That's part of the title of my book, Trust, Lies, and Deceit.
Mm-hmm.
But that was pretty much, I had to deal with a lot of the lies, and over the time of doing litigation, I couldn't really say nothing. The lawyers was the only people that can talk for me. And so after we came to a settlement and we agreed to do certain things,
Mm-hmm.
She still said several little negative things after that. And I was like, okay, now it's time for me to just go ahead and tell my side of the story. She wouldn't let me walk away in the sunset.
Why did you have to go through or use the legal system to tell your side of the story?
Well, I didn't have to use the legal system to tell my side of the story. I was using the legal system to right a wrong or to stop them for keep publishing and keep printing that book of 39 pages of lies about me. And, so I was trying to stop that. And at the time, it just kept on going. So then I decided to write my book. But I could have always written my book.
I
got
got you.
At the end of the settlement, the agreement was I still can tell my side of the story. I wasn't going to be silenced.
Gotcha. Why do you think the timing is right for you to respond with your book?
Well, the timing was right for me because we just had came to agreement. And once we came to the agreement and I saw that she was still saying some negative things that wasn't true about me, and some of it was maybe done in comedy, but a couple of times it was done, like, no, you're lying. So I said, okay, now since you did keep doing this and I see like you're not going to, let me live my own life, I decided to say, okay, it's now time to tell my story. But I not only tell my story, I wanted to add receipts in there. So,
How was the relationship? How was the marriage before the book was released?
I mean, the time me and Tiffany married was just like a normal marriage. I mean, you're going to have disagreements and things like that. But overall, I think our marriage was probably better than any marriage. I mean, we had a good time together. We did things together. We very seldom argued, fussed. We never had any kind of physical fights or slapping or hitting or, even calling each other names. We never really did any of that. So it was a good relationship. I learned how to deal with some of her issues and ignore some of the, some of her mood changes and swings and stuff. But overall, we got along real good.
So after the book was released, how did the contents in the book affected you and your family? Because, like you said, a lot of the things that was said about you in that book was untrue.
Yeah, I mean, it affected, especially like my family. Well, especially with me at the time. I had just moved back to California, and I was working at the Air Force Base, and it was top. Well, they have a lot of top secret planes and test planes and test scenarios. And I would have to go into some of these rooms or some of these buildings. So I needed a top secret clearance to get into these places. And I knew that with these allegations in this book, I was probably not going to be able to be granted a top secret clearance. And even Donald Trump had 2 or 3 people on his cabinet was not able to obtain that top secret clearance,
right?
Because of abuse allegations,
right?
So,
well, he was. He was a president for saying all kind of crazy stuff he did as well, and still became the president.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy, but I decided to leave that job because if you ever not given a clearance, it's hard for you to ever get one. So I decided to leave that job. So in case I decide to go back, I have documents now from the legal stuff that say, hey, that stuff those allegations are not true.
People don't normally get divorced if things are good in the marriage, man. What happened? What caused the divorce?
Well, I mean, we all go into divorce and we all go into marriages marriages for different reasons.
Right.
I went into marriage with Tiffany because I was in love with her. And I think, maybe she didn't go into marriage for the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
She was not, she was not really working, and she was doing comedy, which comedy clubs, one of them pays $750 and $750 for one show, and another one, the biggest one pays $30 was for a show.
Right.
And they charge them for their alcohol too. So basically they would do comedy for free just to get their name out. So during this time, I was the one working, and then I was actually working 2 jobs at the time,
mm-hmm.
And also supporting her, making DVDs and she-rated T-shirts and selling them at the comedy clubs and stuff. So I was all in, because I believed in her, you know what I'm saying? So everything that I had besides paying the bills, I was trying to, help focus it back into, her dream.
Right. You're really invested into that marriage, into her.
Yeah, I was all in. I mean, it was all in.
Wow. Once again, guys, if you're just joining us here live on the SE Spotlight podcast, we're speaking to Mr. William Stewart, who is the ex-husband of celebrity actress and comedian Tiffany Haddish. Of course, he's got a brand new book. It's called Trust, Lies, and Deceit. And this is the response to Tiffany Haddish's book. Of course, he's showing it here on the screen. Put up that book again. Let me see, man. Gotta give you a round of applause. I like the title of the book. Trust, Lies, and Deceit here live on the SUB show. Do you think Tiffany really wanted to be married while you guys were together?
I think in the beginning, because in the beginning I think so, but then once she started to become noticed and people started noticing her talent, and then her agent at the time and managers, they would always tell her, even in front of me, you'll be a millionaire, Tiffany, if you wasn't married. And that was back before the Harvey Weinstein stuff popped off, where back then, women in that industry or any industry in Hollywood mostly wanted to remain anonymous as far as their relationship wise, because it would push back their fan base,
right,
to know that they were married and things like that. So I went through that a lot with her and her management, and a lot of times it felt like I was actually married to their property.
Were you accused of domestic physical abuse or something?
Yes, in her book pretty much said I was a monster. Which was nowhere near anything like that. I mean, we never had any fights or slaps and things like that. But yeah, and that book was not to her, she allowed the writer, the ghostwriter, to write these things. And if you look at his website, he had a thing to tell you how he write books, and you got to have this squirrel or whatever that comes in and negative, and you got to leave, and he always come back, and you never get rid of it. But the way he was saying that he wrote books, you got to have some kind of altercations going on.
So it's kind of create a drama situation just to make the book sell.
Yes. Every argument me and Tiffany ever had pretty much was in that book, but it was embellished to the point where all of them had a different ending. It took me a couple of days to read them 39 pages. I couldn't believe what I was reading.
Wow.
And at the time when it came out, I was told, hey, nobody knows you. It's ex-husband. Your name is not in the book. And I'm like, you only got one, and my name is right up under your name on Google. So it didn't make sense to me. And I think with $1 billion corporation of the publisher, I know they don't really care about us individuals. They care about making money. And to me, with that much amount of money they have and resources they have, I mean, why not put a couple $100s in doing a background investigation and see if these things that these writers are telling are true? And I mean, but they don't really care about that. As long as that person sign off on something,
right,
saying it's true, they can care less about the smaller man. They want money.
Gotcha. Did you sense that she was more interested in becoming a star or celebrity while she was married to you?
Yeah, I mean, in the middle of the marriage, she would always tell me, she loved me. You're a great husband. She would say that all the time. You're a great husband. I cook, I did everything. I cleaned, I did everything. I was Tiffany Haddish's servant / husband, if you want to think of it that way. I mean, but my thing was, some of the things she didn't do, I was going to lead by example. But she used to tell me all the time, especially when she started getting a little buzz, I always dreamed of being a celebrity. I never dreamed of being a wife. So I would hear that several times out of her mouth.
Wow. In our offline conversations, you also mentioned something to do with the fact that she said to you, well, she could have been you could be her husband whenever she wanted to after the divorce.
Oh yeah. Once we decided to get divorced, and I mean, our divorce was put on pressures by her management, about what people was telling her,
right?
About way it would help her career by her not being married. So right before we got divorced or whatever, she used to always say, regardless, you can always be my husband when I want you to be. And that came with a lot of different things and stuff, but I knew what it was.
You could have been a boy toy,
yeah,
so to speak.
Yeah.
I
mean, I'm like, hey.
No, I
loved it that much where I was because in my mind I was thinking like, hey, whatever. Once you get this where you're trying to get, you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, hey, this man loved me unconditionally,
right?
And this is where I'm going.
Absolutely,
that's what my thought at the time.
I got you. Once again, guys, if you're just joining us here live on the Ezzy Spotlight podcast, we're speaking to the author of the book. It's called Trust, Lies, Deceit. He's the ex-husband of Tiffany Haddish. His name is Mr. William Stewart here live on the Ezzy Spotlight podcast, of course. And his book is in response to Tiffany Haddish's book. We're going to tell you more about that. But let me ask you, William, for the folks who have read your book, or the folks who intend to read your book, or looking at this conversation right now, and of course, maybe her fans as well, who may say to themselves or say to you that her story is true, but your story is not. What do you have to say to these people? Well,
I mean, I learned throughout when her book first came out that I even told my son this, who was trying to fight everybody on the internet. He was going in and responding to everything. And I told him, hey, man, I learned, hey, stop responding to those people, because those people, a lot of times those people are celebrity followers. So they don't really care about the person that's not a celebrity.
Right.
And I had to pretty much stop him from responding, because he was telling people this didn't happen. I was there, and stuff like this. And like I explained to him that I even had one that told me after weeks of me showing her receipts and stuff, she kind of agreed with me. And then she looked at she just texted me and said, regardless, you should have took the L, and that was just, and it was like, wow. So they kind of woke me up to say, hey, man, there's nothing you're going to get these people to believe. So it's best for just let it go, and then
I got you. Recently, she was arrested in Atlanta, I think, for under the influence of alcohol while driving. Was alcohol an issue during the marriage?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much 95% of any argument or disagreement we had in front of her friends or whatever. Most of the time, it was because she was intoxicated or she had been drinking.
Wow.
I don't drink, so a lot of times, they would look at me like he's being mean. No, I'm trying to protect my wife, and I don't want my wife to get all intoxicated and start being their court jester. I mean, because they love to see her get drunk and do stupid stuff.
Right.
And I would be like, man, I felt like watching the clown on the wall all the time. Yeah, but even driving home, they would see me at the comedy clubs a lot of times at night with her. I don't work 1 and 2 jobs. And I was there slinging CDs and She Ready T-shirts and, trying to promote her. And but it really wasn't all about that. Most of the time it was because I know at the comedy clubs, she was going to drink and she was going to drive home. So I was trying to prevent a DUI and getting her hurt or her hurting someone else while she was driving home. And I dealt with that. I dealt with that a lot. I mean, even to the point where I even videos and pictures of her drunk inside the garage with the car running and the garage door down. And I was trying to show her this, like, man, you're gonna hurt yourself or hurt someone.
Would you say she gaslights a lot of situations? Like start up an issue or an argument and just run away from it?
Well, when we were married, I would notice that, and I started learning how to play the game, I can tell, like, sometimes, if she wanted to go somewhere by herself or go to a club by herself, she would start arguments and like, okay, and then she would just leave. And so once I learned it over the years, I think it would aggravate her more because I would tell her, I'm not going to argue with you today, Tiffany. Well, I'm going to the club tonight. I'm not going to argue. No, I'm not going to let you do that. And then she would say certain things and I would just smile and be like, okay. You know, and I wouldn't let it get under my skin. And then she would just leave me anyway.
Right. There was a lawsuit pending recently that I think is now settled. Were you a part of that lawsuit that had that video circulating on social media about child molestation and all that?
Oh no, sir. I wasn't a part of that. You know, I want to make sure. No, I wasn't a part of that. But this video, the only thing about it, this video was made right while we was married, right before our divorce, I believe. And during this time, and you know, she probably would even come on and tell you, hey, yeah, I told her that I like Gary Spears' comedy. I liked his impressions and stuff like that, but I never liked him as a person. And a lot of times, you know, I would be on the show or be places with her, and I would just tell her I got a bad vibe about this person. I got a bad vibe about this person. And you know, and she would tell you, you know, I was like that lion that's following my lioness, and I was watching everybody around her because I was in protection mode all the time. And Aries was one of the ones that I told her I didn't like and to stay away from. I thought he was grimy.
Right.
You know, and she probably will admit that I told her that. And even with this process of what she's been going through, you know,
if you were still in her life right now, she would not have probably be experiencing those situations, you think?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I mean, no, because I was that one that everybody was like, you know, I wasn't trying to be your friend. I was protecting my wife.
You're the bulldog.
You know, I was looking at all of them. And so, no, I used to tell her even some of the skits she would do at the time. And when they would do sizzle reels and things, I would try to tell in a nice way, like, that ain't funny. I don't think that's funny. And that one would have been one I would have told her that wasn't funny. But a lot of times I would get the thing back, you don't know comedy. And I don't know, but I know funny, you know, and I just didn't think that was appropriate. And if that would have been me on the set, just like when I worked in the movie industry, that's what my job was at the movie industry.
Right.
Is to prevent people from getting hurt, abused, or killed. And if I was working on that little thing that Aries pretty much, because he was the bigger comic at the time, she was just up and coming and she was just glad to be on his ticket. Anything that bigger comics would ask her to do, she would just like jump at it. And I would be like, man, you know, it's several things that she did that I didn't like, you know, so, but I couldn't do nothing with it because she was on that mission.
Absolutely. Once again, guys, Mr. William Stewart here live on the Ezzy Spotlight podcast. Of course, his brand new book is called Trust, Lies, and Deceit, a response to Tiffany Haddish's book here. What else do you want to tell the listeners or the viewers about your book, man?
Well, my book was pretty much, like I said, response to some of the negative things she was saying. And I wanted to shed a light on pretty much who I am and the way I grew up. I mean, I grew up probably no different than most of African Americans. I mean, it wasn't easy being with a single mother. My mom was 16, you know, when she was pregnant with me, you know. So growing up in the inner city, I wanted to tell about that. I wanted to tell about a lot of the things about me and what made me me. And then I got it went back and forth between that and getting into my life with the about 7 years I spent with Tiffany Haddish.
Absolutely. No, on a lighter note, man. So she's performed with Kevin Hart and she's done movies and all of this stuff. One of the movies that I really this is not to promote her. This is to promote you and your book, of course. But one of the movies she acted in was Girls Trip, which is funny as hell. And there was a scene in there that talks about a grapefruit or something like that. Yeah. What about that grapefruit scene that you like, man? You like anything about it? That's
why you want to see it? Man, I mean, during that time, we had just got divorced recently, but she wanted me to go see it because she was so proud of it. And even after we was divorced, like I said, we were still friends and stuff. And when I saw it, I was proud of her because it seemed like they just let her be herself.
Right.
You know, she just went. You know, that's pretty much her. And what I liked about it, as far as I can say that, you know, it was very seldom time I was bored or I went out in the street and looking at it like this, because I was always pretty much not tired, but I was good at home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You were taken care of.
Yeah, well taken care of. So
right.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, that's why it hurt me so bad in the book. I'm like, how did we do all of this in the middle of this book when I had no time to sleep? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, when did all this happen? I mean, I can't think of 2 days that went by. Sometimes I would be like, shit, man, can you give me a break? You know what I'm saying? So it was like, man, when did all this stuff happen in between all this?
Absolutely. How can the fans purchase the book?
Basically, they can go on Amazon. You can get the book off Amazon and just type in my name, William Stewart, Trust, Lies, and Deceit. Or you can also, I have some people that want a signed copy, and they can just go to my Instagram, which is Will, Yes, I Am. That's WILL, Yes, I Am. And I send signed copies. I mail them off and everything. And that's pretty much how you can get my book.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. William Stewart, man, I want to thank you for stopping by here live on the Ezzy Spotlight podcast. Of course, guys, make sure you go check the book out. It's available on Amazon right now. Trust, Lies, Deceit is the response to Tiffany Haddish's book. You want to check that out, guys. Of course, it's a good guy. He sounds like a good guy. So why not support him? Any final words, any final thoughts?
Well, like I said, even after the book, I want y'all to go get the book, Trust, Lies, and Deceit, and show it on the air again, Trust, Lies, and Deceit.
There you go.
But even after this book was written, and even with her current situation, I have nothing but support for her, and she knows, and she knows, and we've discussed some things that she's dealing with, and she knows that she knew before we got divorced that I had her back 100%, regardless of what was done to me. It's kind of like, you gotta be able to forgive and move on.
Right. Do you still got her back right now?
Oh, 100%.
Wow, you're a great dude, man. I gotta give you a round of applause for this, man, because a lot of dudes are not stand up like this, even if people use them to build themselves and come back and be supportive as you are, man. So kudos to you, and of course, congratulations to you. Good luck to you. Trust, Lies, Deceit. Get the book right now. I'm gonna get my copy as well. Hey, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you here live on the Ezzy Spotlight podcast.
Hey, I thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man, and talk to you soon. All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Ezzy Spotlight Podcast is available on iHeart, Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Everyone has a story, but only the best are chosen on Ezzy Spotlight Podcast. Thank you for listening to Ezzy Spotlight Podcast. Follow us at Ezzy Spotlight.